since the so-called reform era, each of the Chinese leaders had their own policy frameworks, socialism with Chinese characteristics for Deng Xiaoping, 3 representatives, 3个代表 for Jiang Zemin, harmonious society for 胡锦涛，和谐社会。And was there any ideological consistency among these leaders? Or in other words, has the Communist Party always been a party of ideology?
It certainly has always been a party of ideology, and right from the get-go in 1921. You read the records of the first Congress and the second Congress, these ideological questions, including the nascent party's role within China and the world. These are lively and active deliberations from the beginning. The question is to what extent has the ideological framework changed between the leaders that you've just referred to? If I was to put it into this sort of sweep of history, between, frankly, 49 and 56 in the 8th Congress of the party, Mao Zedong and the Central Committee for this period of time regarded class struggle as the central organizing principle for the party, and that is to deal with the enemy classes from within. And that's when you saw the anti-landlord movement, you saw the collectivization of industry, the collectivization of agriculture, etc. Then you get to 56 in the 8th Party Congress, and you see a resolution actually emerging from the 8th Congress which says, okay, we've just had 7 years of class struggle. We think we've dealt with the landlord class. We've dealt with the capitalist entrepreneurial class. We've now socialized the means of production. So let's get on with building the economy. And if you look at the resolution of the 8th Congress in 56, it was along those lines, which is let's unleash the factors of production. Mao Zedong then, by the late 50s, when he launches the anti-rightist campaign, and then engages in the Great Leap Forward, and then engages in the Cultural Revolution, effectively says to the party leadership, the pragmatic party leadership of Deng Xiaoping and of Chen Yun and others who are seeking to build the economy, no way, Jose. He's saying that if you go down that road, then you will actually incrementally recreate capitalist class within the country. And so you see this enormous sort of lurch to the left over this period of time, through until Mao's death. What I find fascinating is that when Deng emerges after 78 and through until the party's historical resolution, second historical resolution in 1981, is that in this period of time, the official critique of Mao and the Cultural Revolution and the Great Leap Forward and the anti-rightist campaign was as follows, that Mao violated the 56 resolution of the 8th Party Congress to place the economy at the centre and the unleashing of the factors of production to grow the economy. And this became, therefore, the official ideological reset by Deng, Jiang and Hu, and in between, of course, Zhao Ziyang and Hu Yaobang, who were both purged, for the period of what we describe as economic pragmatism. Within Jiang Zemin and within Hu Jintao, they have had different twists on this theme. You mentioned Jiang Zemin and the Sangha Daibiao, the theory that 3 represents. Very much that was a case of, well, we're creating this entrepreneurial class within China. Mao warned us about this back in the 50s. What are we going to do about it? And Jiang Zemin's novel solution, as you know, Orville, in the Yuan, is pretty simple. We're going to put them into the party and make them into patriotic capitalists. And that's what decoded the theory the 3 represents is about. And then Hu Jintao, again staying within the Deng Xiaoping frame, says, we've got some emerging additional challenges, which is about social harmony, but also about environmental sustainability. And when he talks about a theory of scientific development, right. Scientific economic development, he is saying that we've got to deal with this emerging set of challenges within the the Deng Xiaoping paradigm in order to sustain still the development of the factors of production. It's only when we get to Xi Jinping, and not straight away in 2012, but in fact at the 19th Congress in 2017, that he looks back at this great sweep of history and says, yep, but the problem with the last 35 years since the second historical resolution back in 1981 is that we have unnecessarily and excessively relegated what Marxist-Leninists call the relations of production. What's that mean? Class. So in other words, we've come back to an earlier frame. And he's not saying we therefore repudiate economic development, but we're saying it now has to be done in a manner which manages class inequality, but in addition to that, reasserts the centrality of a Leninist party. And so why does ideology matter? Each of these formal resets from 56 through to 78, 81, through to what happened then in 2017 have been these major, shall we say, inflection points in what then became a series of subsidiary policy and behavioral changes in the Chinese system.
偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。